Staggered Mayhem Showcase, where all the runners start at different times with the goal of having as many mother brains on screen at the same time. We have two runners today, Fat Scott 25 and Kev Nastics. Both of these runners have been practicing very hard at Hundo, 100% category of Super Metroid. And both of them are looking forward to putting on a good show for you today. We'd like to have more runners, even if you're new to running Super Metroid, give it a shot. Come join the Discord, learn new strats, and you'll be one of the first runners to start if you're new, and you get a head start, and the other runners will try to catch up to you. Today, Kev Nastics is going to have to catch up to Fat Scott 25, who's going to get a 2 minute and 31 second head start. We have one runner ready to go, and the other one is most ready. We'll be starting soon. And of course, we'll be starting at Ceres Station and seeing the little tiny baby Metroid. And we get to say goodbye to that baby Metroid and then see the baby Metroid later in the game. If you're not familiar with the storyline behind Super Metroid, it is a story that rivals anything Shakespeare ever dreamed of. It rivals Romeo and Juliet and all of the great Shakespearean tragedies. That's a little bit of a spoiler, I suppose. The runners, of course, please follow them. Follow Fat Scott 25 and follow Kev Nastics. They would appreciate it and would love it if you stop by and say hello anytime they're streaming. And of course, follow the stream team. WJG999 will say don't follow him, but give him a round of applause at least, even if you don't. He's really wonderful and is the person behind the scenes making all of these races possible with the restream. And also in randomizer races with the tracking as well sometimes. Jack of all trades. So one of the runners is going to have to take a break real quick. We will be starting shortly, I hope, but we will be waiting around just a little bit. So if you want to go get a bite to eat, grab some popcorn and grab some soda or whatever your beverage of choice is. Now would be a good time. I happen to enjoy coffee, for example, and tea. I've always wondered what sort of beverage Samus Aran drinks. I'm not sure that the series has ever answered that question. We know Captain Picard, of course, drinks tea Earl Grey hot. Perhaps Samus drinks tea Earl Grey cold, or something else. Chat says Samus definitely likes a beer. American beer, European beer, other. Maybe a nice glass of wine. Perhaps Romulan ale. She does have that green tint to her visor. A hint, perhaps. So Hundo, if you're not familiar with it, 100% category, is a category in which the runners pick up 100% of all of the items. There are a lot of items to pick up and a lot of interesting strats that you wouldn't see in an any percent category because you pick up, for example, my favorite item, Screw Attack and Spring Ball, And it looks like Cavnastics is ready and Fat Scott is ready. So the race will be starting very soon now. And countdown, and looks like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and should be off momentarily. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong timer. Try that again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and Fat Scott 25 is off. This is the infamous blue series station where the decor is all blue. And everything looks... Uh-oh. I thought the stream paused. Okay. Everything looks pretty normal until we get to this room where we see the dead scientists in what is called the dead scientist room. And you get a sense that perhaps not everything is okay here. Perhaps that is why there was a distress call. And here's the cute little baby Metroid. Or is it so little? We learn later that the baby Metroid isn't quite so little. So I think this is a container which is bigger on the inside. A hint, perhaps, that Samus Aran is in fact a Time Lord, if you're a fan of the Doctor Who series, as I am. I believe that Samus Aran is in fact a time traveler and a bounty hunter. And we'll see some more hints later on that Samus, even if she isn't a Time Lord, Time Lady, then she is in fact in possession of space-time manipulation technology. We will not see the space-time beam, that's for a different category, the any percent glitch category, but we will see other manipulations of space-time as the run progresses. And Fat Scott 25 has exited series station with a 44, I didn't catch the last 2 digits, as we see the station blowing up, and the smiley face ship, as my 3-year-old son likes to call it. It is the happiest little bounty hunter ship in the galaxy. Chat says it was either a 4457 or a 4475. Cavnastics will be starting in about 30 seconds. And of course, we'll be playing a little bit of catch-up. Very first item that Samus is going to pick up is the Maru Marie, or the Morph Ball, or the Morphing Ball, depending on which terminology you're familiar with. And I think this is the very first hint of space-time manipulation technology. Samus will be able to morph into a little tiny ball, which is smaller on the outside than Samus seems to be. As we know, the TARDIS is bigger on the inside. So I believe that this is using very similar technology as the Doctor's TARDIS, compressing space into a smaller outer shell. Getting down into Blue Brent Star about the 3-minute mark. This is a pretty good time. As we see Cavnastics starting the Ridley fight. Cavnastics and Fat Scott 25, you'll notice, they're not even attempting to fight. You can ward off Ridley with enough shots, but that's going to be really, really slow. So the fastest way to get through this room is, in fact, to just damage down to under a certain amount of health, at which point Ridley takes off with the baby Metroid. And Cavnastics is trying to now escape the exploding space station through the dead scientist's room and through the magnet stairs room and the falling tiles room, while Fat Scott 25 is exiting Blue Brent Star and is going to be doing the reverse pit room. Let's see what time Cavnastics gets on the timer. It is a 43:77. So no time gained there in Series Station. That's going to be an extra second Cavnastics is going to have to catch up. There's an hour and a half, roughly, a little bit more than that, in this category, so plenty of time to catch up. Fat Scott 25 is doing the climb using the wall jump technique, and that's one of the two major ways that runners like to do this room. The other is sometimes called the Behe climb. There are other types of climbs where you use the platforms other than the Behe climb. Rearn, for example, takes a little bit different strategy, but it's either use the platforms or do the wall jumps. And Fat Scott 25 masterfully made it through that room and is entering the Bomb Chorizo room with 99 health. That's very important because that's going to ensure that Fat Scott 25 gets missile drops rather than health drops, which will end the fight sooner. And notice Fat Scott 25 is setting up in exactly the right position to get Chorizo to hopefully bounce back and not do any damage, and picking up an extra missile. I didn't intend to have all those missiles clustered together. It's better to have them spread apart so you can end the fight a little bit sooner, but it didn't cost too much time at all, and is now going to be doing Alcatraz while Kevnasix is grabbing that space-time manipulation technology, the Marie, and getting through Alcatraz no problem. It saves quite a bit of time over going the other route and laying bombs. And it's heading straight into Terminator and grabbing that first energy tank of the game. I was rounding up to the nearest half hour when I said an hour and a half. Yeah, I'm hoping, yes, that neither runner takes a full hour and a half, but that both runners finish just a little bit faster than that. We've already seen blue Brenstar, and we're about to see another color in just a moment, green Brenstar, named so because it's red. No, I mean because it's green. And it's green because of the plants that are around. A hint at perhaps what is coming, Spore Spawn, except we're not going to actually see Spore Spawn in this category. One of our favorite, or least favorite, mini bosses, depending on your preference. One of my favorite, because I like to do Spore Spawn RTA. If you're new to speedrunning Super Metroid, or you'd like to get into speedrunning Super Metroid, Spore Spawn RTA is one of the best categories to start with. You learn movement, you have to learn the mock ball, and it only costs you about 10 minutes of time. Maybe 15 your first time doing it. And you can start to get those times down rather than having to commit a full hour and a half, 3 hours if you're new to the game. I highly recommend it if you've been thinking about dabbling in speedrunning at all and you've never done speedrunning before. Check out the Spore Spawn RTA category. We won't be seeing Spore Spawn in this race, like I said, unfortunately, but we do see hints that there is a vile plant waiting to eat whatever comes into its lair. Fat Scott 25 picking up that missile that is usually skipped in the any percent category, while Kevnasix is fighting Bomb Chorizo and showing off a little bit right there with the morph ball and making quick work of Bob. Fat Scott 25 is heading into now pink Brenstar, the third of the colors that we get to see. There's another area down there in green Brenstar that we can't get to yet because we don't have power bombs. We will be seeing more of pink Brenstar and green Brenstar later on, and even blue Brenstar we will see a little bit of. The first weapon upgrade for Samus's arm cannon is the Charge Beam. This will allow Samus to charge up her weapon and give a little bit. It's actually 3 times the firepower of the standard pea shooter, and there's our first use of it right there. Fat Scott 25 showing us how that works, rather than having to use 3 shots to kill the cacatechs and kill the hoppers. Just one shot of the charge beam takes them out. That's very important with the cacatechs because they almost always drop super missiles, so that's going to reduce the amount of farming that Fatscott 25 has to do later on. Fatscott 25 using the intending to be 2 passes through this red tower climb here. Another way to do that is with the hero shot and using those D-boosts in Hellway. Making it look easy, but Hellway is not easy. It has that name for a reason. Gymnastics picking up that reserve tank and hoping to, I think, do the quick exit through the pillars there. We'll see whether that happens or not. Meanwhile, Fatscott 25 has picked up the Alpha Power Bombs, named so because those are the first power bombs you pick up in the game. And this is the caterpillar room. Those cute little caterpillars do a lot of damage, much like caterpillars in real life. Don't touch a caterpillar, no matter how cute and fuzzy they look. They're not fuzzy. They do, in fact, hurt. I can attest to this, as I petted a few caterpillars when I was a child and ended up in tears. There are 2 ways to do hundo. Well, there's more than 2 ways, but one of the big deviations that you often see is whether you get power bombs early or late. And that will come into play in Trade's Lair, which we'll see later on, because there is one item there that you can't get without power bombs, and you have to go back if you get power bombs late. I'm a big fan of getting power bombs early in this category, even though it does cost a little bit of health and you have to be a little bit more careful than if you go down Red Tower first, then up. Fatscott 25 picking up that second beam upgrade at the exact same time as Gymnastics is picking up the first beam upgrade. So Fatscott 25 has charge and Spazer. Gymnastics has just charge. Spazer divides the beam into 3 horizontal lines, and that ends up being both a blessing and a curse. It is possible to have the Spazer beam broken into fewer than 3, but sometimes it causes the beam to get stopped depending on various physics of the game. And here we see that item I was referring to, the little missile pack hidden right there that you need the power bombs for, and I think you're supposed to have Spring Ball. I think that's what they intended, but Fatscott 25 showing that you can in fact get that without the Spring Ball. Gymnastics now picking up the Spazer beam, while Fatscott 25 makes quick work of Mini Kraid, barely even saw the little creature. Didn't even know what was coming, didn't know it hit him. But here's the real Kraid, the big Kraid, and Fatscott 25 is going to try to do what's called a Kraid Quick Kill, or the KQK. And this involves timing, in this case a charge shot, but sometimes a missile shot or a pea shooter shot, to cause Kraid to leave his mouth open just long enough to get those super missiles into his mouth and successfully avoiding a trip to the prom with Kraid and getting that quick kill. It's very important, saves quite a lot of time in any category. We'll see if Gymnastics gets the quick kill as well. I'm hoping so. Has a lot of practice at this. So I'm not anticipating any trouble here, but sometimes surprising things happen. So fingers crossed that everything's going to go okay in this fight. Gymnastics is shooting those rocks to try and, I think, reduce some of the lag, reduce the number of moving objects in the room. Fatscott 25 picking up that Kraid E-Tank. Oh, and shooting one of those missiles at the ceiling, but still getting the quick kill. Great job, Kevnastics. Fat Scott 25 is, let's see, if is going to shoot the super missile there and is going for a mock ball there. You try to shoot that super missile and then jump right in quick succession, and then as you land, do a mock ball under the block that you just shot out. It's not as hard of a trick as it looks like, but if you don't time it just right, it's easy to do that jump just a little bit short. And doing the jump a little bit short is oftentimes better than doing it late. Fat Scott 25 is about to be picking up the first boots of the game, the high jump boots, which let you jump higher. And that is going to come into play later on with the speed boots. Those two boots work together. And I don't know how Samus manages to put two, it's called the speed booster, but it's listed under, I think, footwear in the menu. How Samus manages to wear two sets of footwear at the same time, I'm not exactly sure how that works. Perhaps it is more Time Lord technology. Now, both runners are in what is called Upper Norfair. Called so because it's Norfair and it's the upper part rather than the lower part. And Fat Scott 25 is in a room now called the Cathedral. I don't know why it's called the Cathedral, but there's these missiles here at the bottom of the room that you would normally just skip over. If you've never played this game before, you wouldn't even think that they're there. You wouldn't even think to look for them. It's a missile pack that if you're playing the game for the first time, you're probably not going to even realize it's there until you say, oh, I only got 90% of the items. There's more items to look for. Chat points out that it could mean that it's an add-on to the boots that you have, like rocket boosters to the side. And that's a really good point. Like Flash has those wings on the side of his boots. Be something like that. And Fat Scott 25 making his way through a bubble mountain, called so because it looks like a mountain and there's these green bubbles here. A nod to the bubble rooms in the original Metroid game. And notice Fat Scott 25 is arm pumping in this room and going downhill. Normally you can't arm pump down hills, but this is one of those special rooms where the angle is just right that you can in fact arm pump down the hills without any trouble. A lot of people thought Hodoribi's run was invalid a decade ago because he arm pumped through this room and nobody bothered to try it, apparently. So the story goes, as I've read. And you can, in fact, arm pump through that room. And here we see the speed booster. Samus is going to start running, and then we see those speed echoes. Much like the Flash, as I mentioned before, has speed echoes, copies of himself left in time remnants that fade away eventually. Those echoes can be used in a Shine Spark to actually inflict damage on enemies. And we might see that later on. Fat Scott 25 is going to be picking up the sinusoidal beam, the wave beam, in just a moment, making his way through the double chamber room. And there are two ways through that room where you can jump and then do the wall jump, or you can fall down and run on the spikes and jump up. So here we have the third arm cannon beam upgrade. Knowing exactly where to fall on those spikes, those fake spikes that you might find by accident your first time. Running straight under those dragons, and has a power bomb, so is going to be able to take this left route out of Bubble Mountain, whereas Kevnastics did not pick up early power bombs, so Kevnastics is going to have to take a slightly slower route through that room. We'll see that in just a little bit. It looks like Kevnastics has gained a little bit of time on Fat Scott 25, but because of the route divergence, we're not going to know exactly who is in the lead for a little while unless you're really, really good at keeping track of individual room times, because Kevnasix has not picked up that missile pack in Trades Lair. Is going to have to go back for that, and is also going to have to pick up the Alpha and Alpha power bombs that Fat Scott 25 already picked up. But in Kevnasix's case, the Alpha power bombs are going to be right on the way. And you see Kevnasix took that rightmost route through those tunnels there, which pretty quick, but not as quick as just laying a power bomb. Fat Scott 25 making quick work of Crocomire. Didn't even get to talk about Crocomire before he fell into the acid there. And this acid is extremely corrosive. I don't recommend having this particular liquid installed. If you have a pool at home and you see one of those advertisements on the internet for get hot acid in your pool, don't do it. And here's why. You're going to see why in just a moment, why this is a fraudulent product. There are complaints with the Better Business Bureau about exactly this. See, it takes all your skin off and all your muscles off, and all you're left with is your bones. You don't even have eyes, just the eye sockets. It's really disgusting, and you do not want that to happen to you. So just don't put that in your pool at home. It's not worth it. Fat Scott 25 picking up the power bombs there, and you can have those be the first power bombs of the game if you take the route that Kevnasix has taken. So they will both have power bombs in just a moment. Fat Scott 25, coming down here into, I forget what this room is called. It's the room before Gauntlet. And there are two ways to do this. One is to grab that missile on the way in, and the other is to grab that missile on the way out. And Fat Scott 25 has opted to just jump up and grab that missile on the way in. And that is going to allow him to set up for what some people call the greatest mock ball of the game. We'll see if he manages to get it. Fat Scott 25 has picked up the grappling beam, also called the grapple beam. I like to call it the tractor beam. Why? Because the grapple beam is used for farming. Here we go, and not quite getting that mock ball, but it looked beautiful, that jump. Yes, you use the tractor beam for farming, and it's just like the tractor beam on Star Trek. It grabs items and pulls them towards you, so I feel like it's a good name, the John Deere beam. And this is the cosine room. Fat Scott 25 making his way through that room very quickly by doing a deboost off of the spikes in and a deboost off the spikes out, and then is going to charge up right as he's exiting that room, which will allow him to spark up and get through that vertical tunnel very quickly. Kevnasix in chat says, heck. Wasn't quite paying attention. I don't know what that was in reference to. I think I might have been to falling down. So that's going to be a little bit of a time loss, but it shouldn't cost too much at all. Fat Scott 25 making his way through the Crocomire escape. And going to show off that grapple beam. Just like George of the Jungle. Watch out for that tree. Damn us. It's green like a tree even. And Kevnasix also is going to be sparking up here. Beautiful. And Fat Scott 25 is exiting Norfair, but will be coming back. This is a route in which there is what is called a double dip into Norfair. The next place that Fat Scott 25 is going to be heading is the wrecked ship. There's the tube right there. We'll be seeing the tube later on. And going for that alpha spark, but not quite getting it. Just bonked the door at the top just a little bit. But even setting up for that spark is something that's pretty challenging. So that's nothing to be ashamed of. Gymnastics has missed Indiana Jones in chat. That's got 25 showing off in Hellway again. And then now with the speed booster is going to be picking up the beta power bombs. And is not going to be using this. A lot of runners will use the speed booster to break through there rather than laying the power bomb, which saves a little bit of time. And Gymnastics has beautifully showed off that alpha spark through 1.5 rooms, saved just a little bit of time there, and is making his way up through Red Tower right on the heels of Fat Scott 25. So I believe Kevnaskus has caught up a little bit. Again, it's hard to tell because Kevnaskus is going to have to go back for that Kraid missile. Fat Scott 25 setting up, getting that moat missile, using the grapple beam to do it, which is the intended way to do it. Those crumble grapple blocks there, you don't want to swing on them for too long because they will break. They're old and not very sturdy. And there's another missile right down there at the bottom of the ocean. We'll be coming back for that later. Fat Scott 25 getting that spark across and coming into the wreck ship hot and ready to take on the Elephant Ghost Fantoon. And I thought Fat Scott 25 was intentionally skipping those spooky missiles for a second, but no, it's actually gone back to get those spooky missiles. I've wondered before, I've asked this question, but I haven't gotten a satisfactory answer, whether it's faster to get those missiles earlier or later. Most runners will get it earlier, but and the reason is because those spikes are not active. But as we've seen before, you can deboost off of spikes. So I've wondered if perhaps that might be something to do, but runners don't seem to do it. So it must be the sort of thing that's actually slower. And a lot of things in this game, if you're new, like, oh, why are they doing that? That seems so much slower. But there's a reason for everything. And what you think is going to be faster, unless you've studied the physics of the game, can often turn out to be slower. Now we see Fat Scott 25 in the Fantoon fight with the charge wave spazer combo, and the idea here is to shoot exactly 2 missiles when Fantoon opens his eye, wait just a moment, and then shoot 2 more missiles, wait just a moment, and then fire off as many missiles as you can in exactly the right rhythm, called a Doppler, and that maximizes the amount of damage that you can do per round. New runners will opt, instead of doing Dopplers, to use a charge beam combo, which will do more damage than a failed Doppler. I'm still new, so I do the charge ice wave spazer combo when I fight Fantoon, which is good for the equivalent of 3 missiles. Gevnas is pointing out that it's too dangerous after Fantoon. And that is, in fact, I think the reason why most runners don't want to do that, because there's another room that is also dangerous that the runners are going to have to be dealing with. And that is called, aptly, the Spiky Room of Death, or the Spiky Room of Spikes, because it has a lot of spikes in it, and they're very spiky. They're particularly spiky spikes. Unlike the less spiky spikes that you see, the green ones there, that are not really spikes. They're sort of sticking out of the wall, but no, the ones like that are moving back and forth. I don't know why they move back and forth like scissors, but when they're moving like that, they do a lot of damage. They remind me of Galaxy Quest, that room in Galaxy Quest where, why is this room here? Why did somebody build this room? What is the purpose of this room? I wonder that about the spiky room of spikes. Why is it there? Who would build a room like that? It's a mystery that died with the creators of this ship, who are probably long gone. This ship seems to have been wrecked long, long ago. Everything is covered in this green moss. Avnasic's making quick work of the elephant ghost. As the elephant ghost fades away, we don't know if Phantoon's actually dead. We don't know if Phantoon was ever actually alive. Phantoon fades in and then fades right back out. So we could see Phantoon again. Who knows? Phantoon could be all that's left of this planet. That's got 25, falling down, and is going to be taking these spike hits. Fortunately has the Varia suit to mitigate some of the damage, but is going to have to climb back up again. And hopefully we'll be making it. Runners who do Crocomire late have to do this without the grapple beam. But Fat's got 20, so Fat's got 25 is trying to get that jump without the grapple beam. But you see those little crumble grapple blocks at the top. It is possible, and arguably a little bit safer to use those. But doing it without the grapple beam is good practice if you ever hope to run late Crocomire. Chat's pointing out that perhaps the spiky room of spikes was a security feature that was reactivated. Kevnasics will be heading up to grab that E-Tank as well, which will refill the energy after having to deal with Phantoon and the spiky room of spikes, and is taking a little bit of a hit off of the electrical outlet there. I don't recommend trying that at home. The intent was to do a damage boost, but I assure you damage boosts off of electrical outlets that are emitting green sparks, that does not work in real life. This is not real life. This is just the video game stage. Do not try this at home. Fat's got 25, doing a quick mock ball here into this right side attic room, and is using the missiles to shoot the work robots back, and was trying to get through that second work robot through the use of, I don't know exactly how that works, if it's iframes or something slightly different. The first one you have to push back, and the second two you can get past if you're quick enough with just sort of falling behind them. We'll see if Kevnasics gets through those work robots the same way or differently. It looks like Kevnasics' screen has frozen. I'm not sure what part of the country Kevnasics is in, but there was in the weather report a big storm that was predicted yesterday for the part of the country that I live in. It's sunny outside now, so if you do lose me at some point, it will be because we've lost power. It does happen from time to time when there's a bad storm, but as of right now, it is sunny outside. Kevnasics says internet is down. I assume that means Kevnasics is going to keep playing until internet is back up. Hopefully we'll not have to do any sort of manual intervention there, but if he has to reset his access point or anything like that, that could cost some time. So we will wait in suspense, watching as Samus is demonstrating how to aim her arm cannon down. She can aim her arm cannon up, straight down, to the left, to the right, and in diagonals, as we see on the screen here. You too can get a screenshot like this, if you use the button on your keyboard that says PRTSCR or maybe print screen, it might also be labeled SYSRQ system request. And then you can load it up into MS Paint or your favorite editor and print it out, and you can have a souvenir of the game. This is not something that runners particularly do very often, but if you're playing kind of casually and you want something to take home with you, it's a great way to do it. Notice Pat Scott 25 using those missiles to push the work robot back and then laying the power bomb, and then is running back to charge a spark, grabbing the missile in the middle of charging the spark, and then is going to jump up here and grab this wrecked ship reserve. And that is the main reason why we have to go down and pick up the speed booster prior to coming to wreck ship, whereas in a lot of categories like any percent PRKD, the so-called new route, you would not do that, but you cannot get that item very quickly without the speed booster. That's got 25 picking up the gravity suit. I like to call it the viscosity suit. It does not seem to affect gravity at all in Samus's vicinity, but it does seem to change the viscosity of the liquid around her. I believe this is another indication that perhaps she is either a Time Lord or Time Lady, or is in possession of space-time manipulation technology. I believe that this accelerates the movement of liquid particles in the vicinity of the suit, which allows her to move through the liquid more quickly, rather than getting bogged down in the liquid like an insect caught in honey. Pat Scott 25 is now sparking up here to the Criteria Power Bombs room, where we're going to see some green dragons. And is doing this room very quickly, and might be, we'll see if he decides to use the spikes to get out or is going to play it safe. Going to play it safe. It is possible to damage boost off of those spikes to get out of there just a little bit more quickly, and is going to set up for a spark, is draining the reserve tanks to have enough energy for the spark, and is shooting the door on the left side of the screen by aiming at the right side of the screen, which wraps around and opens the door and allows Pat Scott 25 to do this, coming all the way in to the next room for this energy tank and gauntlet. Looks like Kevnasic's internet is back, but we have some sort of graphical glitch. I'm not sure if that's on his end or on SRA's end, but at the moment anyway, we've just got a portion of the screen visible. Just the middle. There we go. And it is back. If that was WJG, then thank you for taking care of that. This race would not be possible without you. And Pat Scott 25 demonstrating how to grab both of those missiles, one on the left side, one on the right side. It is very easy to fall down through those crumble blocks and miss one of those missiles and then have to come all the way back up into the room and do everything all over again. It costs a lot of time, but Pat Scott 25 did that masterfully. And WJG says it was a graphical glitch that fixed itself on OBS's end. Notice that Kevnasic's laid the power bomb prior to picking up the energy tank, which saves a little bit of time due to lag, and then is using the spikes here to damage boost across, which is also another little trick to save just a little bit more time. And then is also going to be dealing with these crumble blocks. Standing in the middle of those crumble blocks allows you to break both of them at the same time. If you don't stand right in the middle of those top crumble blocks, you'll end up falling down just one side and you won't be able to pick up the second missile. Fat Scott 25 back in green Brinstar, one of the colored Brinstars we were talking about earlier, and home of some creatures called the Edecoons. You will hear them singing in just a moment. They sing a little tune, and the tune sounds very much like sound that we hear when Samus picks up an item. So I don't know why they sing this tune, but I like to think that perhaps they learned it when they, in fact, picked up some items. Now, how many times do you think someone would have to pick up an item and hear that tune before they would learn it and have it memorized? I think it's more than one. I think it's more than two. That tells me that these cute little creatures have picked up a few items in their day, and they have them stashed somewhere down here. We don't know where, and we don't know what. Perhaps it's another screw attack. Perhaps it's something else. We'll never know. They seem to take it with them on their ship or leave it here as the planet explodes. Fat Scott 25, making sure not to fall down and visit the Decora early, and also showing off the spark there in big pink to grab those missiles there, which is the reason that we didn't pick them up earlier. And falling down and that block reappears very, very quickly. This is called the Mission Impossible room, because it is in fact possible to jump back up through that block if you're very fast before it reappears. Kev Nassic's still hot on the heels of Fat Scott 25. And Fat Scott 25 heading into this room with the wave gate. If you visit this room early in the game, prior to picking up the wave beam, you'll find that you're blocked from being able to get through unless you happen to know the right trick to open it up with super missiles, or if you happen to have the wave beam. And a little grapple block there is a hint that perhaps there is something in the game that you can use there, but we don't need the grapple beam to get through that room. Fat Scott 25 setting up for a little trick that allows him to hit this super block that's there, even though the camera hasn't scrolled over. And I don't know exactly how this works, but it involves running all the way to the left and then running back to the right and lining it up just right on that mushroom. And now we have some sync. We have both runners with grabbing those Spore Spawn supers at exactly the same time. This does not mean that Kev Nasties is caught back up. We're still a little bit out of sync, and we're still going to have to wait to find out how far apart the runners are. And Fat Scott 25 is heading down again to the statue that was holding the charge beam, because there's another item down here, a little energy tank here in the waterway. Cute little room down here. It is available for rent now that it is no longer occupied by the energy tank at a modest fee if you don't mind the potential danger of the planet that the room is on exploding. We can get it to you for a really good price. We'll negotiate. We'll negotiate on the price. We're willing to work with you. Fat Scott 25 is now grabbing this missile pack that was skipped earlier in the game. It's a little bit faster to pick it up on the second trip through Green Brinstar. But this is not the last time we will see Green Brinstar. There will be one more trip through here when we come back to do the blue Brinstar cleanup. If you stream, do please remember to hydrate when you're playing. Your body does use up a lot more liquid than you realize. I'm going to take just a moment to hydrate. That's refreshing. We now see Fat Scott 25 in Meridia for the first time. There is another route that you might have seen when you first played this game, where there's a quick visit to the top of Meridia. Just a little bit of a tease, where you then have to come down and solve this puzzle of how to get through this tube. And you see a broken tube and you realize, oh, well, if that tube's broken, maybe I can break this other one. And yes, you can in fact break the other tube, as Kevnask is doing right now. And you want to hit that jump button right as the tube is breaking, otherwise you're going to fall right back down and have to climb back up again. This is Mama Turtle, one of the many mothers in the game. I have a lot of respect for mothers. They work very hard, most of them, and it is not an easy job. That Mama Turtle takes care of her little ones. If you shoot at any of those little ones, she will attack you, and guess what? She's invincible. So not somebody you want to mess with. You don't want to mess with mothers in general. They will protect their young no matter what species. And if they happen to be invincible, then I'm not going to help you. There are some other mothers in the game, or at least parents. We're going to see Dragon later on with the little Evere looking creatures that he or she is protecting. And perhaps Mini Kraid is an offspring of Kraid. Who knows? And there are a few others. There are a few others in the game as well. Mother Brain, for example. I don't know whose mother she is. I would not want her to be my mother. She would be an example of a not so good mother. This is the beach that Fat Scott 25 is visiting right now. There is some great beachfront property here for sale. It is, generally speaking, safe from pirates and bounty hunters that are seeking revenge for someone abducting their adopted Metroid. Her adopted Metroid. Excuse me. And Fat Scott 25 exiting the beach, heading into the aqueduct here. We see all of these water pipes that presumably are carrying water and are, although perhaps they are frozen over. We do see ice hanging from them. If you live anywhere in the north of the northern hemisphere or the southernmost parts of the southern hemisphere, you might notice that your pipes freeze in winter and then they burst when that happens. So this is not particularly desirable real estate in this part of Meridia. And there is a snake eel creature called Batoon that lives here. And if you are not a bounty hunter and you are not equipped with the proper personal protective equipment, PPE, I do not recommend dealing with these snakes. Call a professional, call your local bounty hunter. She will come and take care of the creature as quickly as you saw happen on your screen there. And we get to see it a second time as Kevnasic's doing that decalled setup for the X Factor, followed by just a handful of super missiles, making very, very quick work of Batoon. And skipping that energy tank for now, it's faster to come back and get it on the second pass through this room. And trying to get that halfie across, but it looked good, but get the halfie there, but ended up with just sparking just a very, very short distance, losing a little bit of time there. But getting the damage boost off of those spikes, falling down, almost made it up there. Still very quick trip through that room, and then picking up these previous missiles, the room from the previous room, if you happen to be in the room that Pat Scott 25 is in, also called the Precious Missiles. And we see Pat Scott 25 setting up for the quick kill on Dragon, grabbing onto the electrical socket with the grapple beam, which transmits the electricity through Samus's suit. Electricity always follows the path on the outside, if it can. So going across Samus's suit, passing past Samus's heart, not going through Samus's heart, and going straight into Dragon, and frying the crustacean. And then we see the poor little creatures mourning for the loss of their parent. Kevnasic's getting caught by Dragon, not quite getting that quick kill. That's going to put Kevnasic's a little bit further behind. And then grabbing onto the socket just as you saw before. And here we see the trip through the Batoon E-Tank room and picking up the E-Tank this time. Kevnasic's picking up the space jump, which allows Samus to jump more than once, as if she were standing on the ground. You have to time it just right. And Fat Scott 25 heading down into the sand pit, the east sand pit to start with. This is one of the 3 dangers of the fire swamp. But there are fortunately in this room, in this area, no rodents of unusual size. I don't think they exist anymore. Fat Scott 25 falling down through the quicksand there and finding a secret room full of more of what look like Dragon's children, and then using the grapple beam here to break the crumble grapple block. This is called the Cant's room, and quickly breaking through those crumble blocks to say hello to our favorite mechanical digger, Shack Tool. Shack Tool is a mechanical bear-looking creature with what look like saw blades, although I don't think they're saws because you wouldn't saw through sand. You would use some sort of shovel apparatus. harvesting something, probably, and has done this many times before. Shacktool is, in fact, a professional. Has abilities that Samus does not, one of which is cutting through sand. Samus should make a trip to Hyrule and pick up the shovel. That would be another option, but unfortunately, the cartridge has not been loaded with that particular item, so that's not going to be possible. That says bucket trencher. If you've ever used a trencher, it is hard work. I recommend hiring somebody to do it for you rather than doing it yourself. Such as Shacktool here, who can be hired for a reasonable price. The other way through this room, perhaps if you watch a world record run of the Hundo category, is to use the ice clip with the Puyos. That is a lot harder and requires some precise timing. Gymnastics picking up the spring ball. Both runners now have the spring ball. One of two balls in the game. If you see Kraid stand up, that's referred to as the prom, which happens in the spring. And it is a ball, it's a dance, so it is a spring ball. And this is the other spring ball. Bat Scott 25, dig into the Plasma Pirates room, where the pirates are guarding the most powerful weapon in the game. They're hoping to prevent Samus from picking it up, but they're caught sleeping. And Samus manages to sneak in under their noses while they're not paying attention and then kill them all ruthlessly and quickly. I do not recommend, if you are considering a career in piratery, Plasma Pirate I would probably avoid. Metal Pirate I would probably avoid. Those are not particularly good career options. Green Pirate is a good option. Sometimes Samus likes to just run straight through you, and that can be a little bit weird when somebody runs through you blinking, but you get used to it. So Green Pirate is a career option I would recommend. Pat Scott 25, going through this room the reverse way from what you normally would. If you're playing any percent, you would be coming through from right to left, but these runners coming in from left to right, heading back down to the west sand pit. Not quite yet. We're going to be heading down to the west sand pit. But first, before Pat Scott 25 heads down to the west sand pit, is going to be trying to do a short charge here. It's also possible to drop down to the next level and charge from there. This saves a little bit of energy, not that it matters that much with this many energy tanks, but is intended to save just a little bit of time. And since it is a short charge and a little bit of a tricky one at that, Pat Scott 25 is showing off his skills just a little bit for us. And then falling through those crumble blocks with the quick crumble. If next it says, heck, Meridia. I think a lot of Super Metroid runners feel like the exact same way. No matter what category you run, a lot of runs will in fact die in Meridia. It is one of the trickiest areas in the game to master. Here we see Fat Scott 25 in West Meridia, picking up that reserve tank. There's one reserve tank in each of the four major areas, one in Brinstar, one in Meridia, one in Wrecked Ship, and one in Lower Norfair. And we will be seeing the one in Lower Norfair on the way out of Norfair after Kraid. That will be the final one. Getting the damage boost off of whatever that ball is, that happy fun ball that the Avirs shoot. It is in fact as dangerous as a real Happy Fun ball. I do not recommend trying to play with it. It looks like it would hurt, but if you know what you're doing, damage boost off of it and use it to get out of there quickly. Gymnastics grabbing the Meridia Reserve as well, making use of that spring ball, which allows Samus to jump while in ball form. Now notice, when you jump, if you watch yourself jumping, watch a video of yourself jumping, you bend your legs down and then you use the muscles in your legs to propel yourself into the air, right? Well, when Samus is in ball form, she doesn't have any legs visible. Not really to speak of. You see some lines there that are hints that she's curled up. But she can't push off of the ground with her legs. So I don't know exactly how the spring ball works, whether they're microscopic springs or whether this is some sort of manipulation of space-time. I like to think that it's yet another piece of Time Lord technology that Gymnastics has in fact acquired. And since all of these artifacts are perhaps Chozo in origin, perhaps the Chozo are the real Time Lords. That's got 25 showing off the spark here into this crumble tower. And that is the easiest way to pick up this missile pack, just by sparking across to pick it up. If you have to pick up that item without the speed booster, say in a randomizer setting, that is not an easy item to pick up, but Speed Booster makes it very, very easy, as Fat Scott 25 has shown to us. And Gymnastics picking up that Kraid missile, that last Kraid missile that had to skip earlier on, and that, I believe, puts the two runners on the same path now. So if somebody can track the entry time into Lower Norfair, that will give us an idea of how far apart the runners are. It looks like we've got, going through that door, 101.32-ish. Gymnastics showing off that speed ball, a mock ball, while Samus's suit is blue. Cool little way to get through that room quickly. And picking up the Ice Beam. And the Ice Beam is yet another example of space-time manipulation technology. So a lot of people think that the Ice Beam is in fact freezing enemies through the use of cold. Well, I use a product called Freeze Off to loosen bolts. It's kind of the same as taking an aerosol can and spraying it upside down to emit a blast of cold. And when I freeze something like that, it doesn't stay hanging in the air like you just saw. It falls to the ground. And so what's actually happening is time is being slowed down almost to a full stop for a brief moment when the creature is frozen, so that Samus can then, say, stand on it. And the creature doesn't even know that any time has passed. This is, in fact, Time Lord technology. And I don't know if you noticed, Fat Scott 25 used the space jump across to get that missile in the GT Golden Teresa room. The safer way to do that is to use Spring Ball. It was a very bold move to space jump across, because if you fall down, you have to come back all the way around again. And it's a little slower to use Spring Ball, it's faster to use space jump. So shaving off a few seconds there, and sparking up there through the screw attack room as Gymnastics is entering Lower Norfair. Chat says that rocket boosters are always the answer, and that sounds pretty good to me. I like the idea of rocket boosters, maybe a rocket pack. Quite a few video games in the history of video games have been based off of this idea of having rocket boosters or having a rocket pack. I think is something that people are a fan of. Pat's got 25 in the little Mickey Mouse tunnel, picking up the Mickey Mouse missiles because this room, I think this room looks like a heart. People say it looks like Mickey Mouse. I imagine what sorts of things Ridley does there in the Mickey Mouse heart room. Perhaps Ridley is in fact a secret fan of Walt Disney, and that's why that room was built. And that is where Ridley likes to watch Mickey Mouse's Clubhouse. Miska Muska Mickey Mouse? Who knows? Pat's got 25 using that plasma beam to walk straight through those key hunters, which will do a lot of damage. Plenty of energy tanks to be able to absorb that damage, but it saves a little bit of time to be able to not have to stop and wait for the knockback. And then using the screw attack there to break through the blocks to grab what is normally termed the power bombs of shame, because if you don't count your power bombs correctly, you have to shamefully go and pick up an extra power bomb pack. Generic rodent mascot, gotta keep Disney away. I have heard yet a lot of people say not to say the name, just in case. And Kevnassus is going to be heading up to the generic rodent mascot room, while Pat's got 25 is starting his Ridley fight, and with the plasma beam and the other beams in combination, except for the spacer beam, which is turned off right now, this is 20 shots. Although it's faster to use super missiles, they do double damage on Ridley and you don't have to charge up your beam. So Pat's got 25 is using some of those super missiles, combination of charge shots and super missiles, which it's somewhere between 20 and 30 total shots with that combination, depending on how many super missiles you fire. Kevnassus using screw attack on the key hunters, another way to get through that room quickly. Screw attack is one of my favorite items. It's just so much fun, and it doesn't quite make that same sound that it made in the original game, but it still makes a pretty fun sound. And it's just a generally useful item. I have been saying that I was hoping Santa Claus would bring me one for Christmas. I did not get one in my stocking. I was hoping that in summer of 2022 that I would in fact be able to screw attack my lawn, but I'm gonna have to resort to an old-fashioned lawnmower instead. But who knows, maybe 2023 will be the year. Notice those television sets in the Metal Pirates room. They get bored here waiting for Samus, and they've got to have something to watch. Perhaps they're watching Speedrunners Arena, perhaps they're watching Kevnassus or Fat Scott 25 on Twitch, and you can watch Fat Scott 25 and Kevnassus on Twitch as well. If you go over to their channel and hit the follow button, I don't know if they have their alerts turned off, so you might want to wait until the end of the race to do that, but do please follow the runners. They would greatly appreciate it. Kevnassus starting the Ridley fight. And chat says, we need to ask for a set of power armor too then. Modules without the thing it goes into might not be of much use. Yeah, so screw attack without power armor, that could be a good way to lose an arm. That's a good point. Gotta have proper PPE, personal protective equipment. Pat's got 25 in the unlit room because he killed all the fireflies, and is going to grab these last couple missiles in Lower Norfair. Kevnassus says he's having trouble. I'm not sure what that's in reference to, whether it's something in the game or something outside of the game. And Pat Scott 25 picking up these lower Nerf air power bombs that are hidden away after the little spring ball maze, and then is going to be exiting, almost ready to exit lower North Air. One more missile pack that needs to pick up here in the Three Musketeers room. This is another one of those rooms you wonder, why was this built? Why is there a room here with gargoyles that shoot fire into the air? And a missile pack hidden away in an upside down generic rodent mascot room. Who knows? Those Three Musketeers can do a lot of damage, but with Screw Attack, it's really easy to get through, so you can see why it's one of my favorite items. Gymnastics, going through that Key Hunter room and with the bird statues. Lovely decor that Ridley has here in Lower Norfair, with two giant statues of himself, one on the way in, one on the way out. You can't miss it. Even if you come in through the back door using G-Mode, you've got to see one of these statues before you can visit Ridley. A little bit of a narcissist, I suppose. Or perhaps that's not really. Perhaps that's his mother, father, grandmother, great-grandfather. The secret that is going to die with Ridley, I suppose. Pat Scott 25 picking up that final reserve tank of the game. Now has all four, and you too can collect all four reserve energy tanks. Go to your local grocery store and get Samus Aran cereal. It's now on sale for a limited time only. This is the last time we're going to be seeing the Bubble Mountain, the cute little green bubbles. Seems like they're almost carbonated. And the little red life forms that are inside them. I've always wondered what those are. Maybe they're edible. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're poisonous. Who knows? And this is the last we'll be seeing of the Frog Speedway, and the last we'll be seeing of those frogs. So, wave goodbye to Norfair for Pat Scott 25. Nice to be out of the heat and into the cool Brinstar again. Gymnastics exiting Lower Norfair, going to do the last little bit of cleanup here in Upper Norfair, and then we'll soon be joining Pat Scott 25. And as I said before, it is important to stay hydrated when you are streaming, so I'm going to take just another moment to drink some liquid and refresh my voice. I'm going to go silent for just a second. If you are playing or watching, don't forget to do the same. It is important to keep water in your body. We are ugly bags of mostly water. Pat Scott 25 picking up that X-ray scope, which won't be much use. It shows you where things are hidden behind walls, but these runners know exactly where everything is hidden. Showing off that use of the space jump screw attack combination with the speed boots, getting that speed to exit the room before X-ray very quickly. Being careful not to screw attack that platform there, but in fact breaking spin to land on the platform, and then coming back into Green Brinstar. Remember I said we would see Green Brinstar one more time before the end of the game. And then I forget what this trick is called, where you use space jump through the Green Hill Zone to get through it quickly and into Blue Brinstar. This will be the last we'll be seeing of Blue Brinstar, and that was very quick work of those giant hoppers. They are extremely dangerous if you don't come in with the right equipment. You're doing meme route, and a randomizer can send you back to the beginning without collecting $200 very, very easily. Samus does in fact have plenty of equipment though. We have Nasix heading in to pick up X-Ray as well. Meanwhile, Fat Scott 25 picking up this ceiling energy tank. This tank is not accessible unless you know how at the early part of the game. And you're supposed to get high jump boots first, but it is possible to get that energy tank earlier. But in this case, it's just faster to come in during the cleanup phase and pick up these 2 missiles as well. This is the Billy Mays room, called so because you get 2 missiles for the price of 1. There are 2 normally rooms that have an item just have 1. This one has 2, so it's 2 for the price of 1. Or some people like to say, wait, there's more. Hence the reference to Billy Mays. And then finally picking up the beta missiles, which are supposed to be the second missile pack that you pick up in the game. But in this case is the, if I've counted correctly, next to last missile pack of the game. The very last missile pack we'll see in just a moment. And the next to last, we will of course be seeing first. And notice Fat Scott 25 used the floor there in Blue Brinstar before climbing onto the elevator to charge a spark. And what that will let him do is open this door and then spark across the room, killing all of these green pirates. And then you'll see here, this was Mother Brain's lair before Samus came in and wrecked the place. And she had to build a new lair. And this is what's left of it. And she left a little present under her seat. I guess she forgot it was there during the first fight. She should have grabbed those missiles and done something with them, but everything happened so fast. But Mother Brain will be ready this time with a few tricks that Samus didn't get to see last time. Notice Fat Scott 25 freezing those tribbles with the plasma beam and wave beam and ice beam combo, which allows him to run over the tribbles and use them as if they were part of the floor. It is not recommended to stop and pet them or take them in as pets. They are in fact very dangerous, just like real triples that you see on TV. And they will find a way to ruin your day. So just, if you've got your ice beam ready, just freeze them and move on, just like Fat Scott 25 did. And now we are getting the dental missiles, the Tooth Purdy missiles, because it is the 230th missile pack that you pick up in the Honda run. There will be no trips to the dentist. Fat Scott 25 and Samus have been eating their apples and taking all of their dentist's advice seriously. The last trip we see through Terminator, and I did say that it's usually a good idea if you have to be a pirate to be a green pirate, but not today. Those pirates got frozen and then broken like ice, and I imagine that's probably a painless death for them. So at least it was that. Getting shot with a raw plasma beam without getting frozen that would probably hurt a lot. And we see the Golden 4 statues crumbling, indicating that all 4 of those bosses have been defeated. The door has been unlocked, and Samus is being let into Turian, where Mother Brain lives. Kevnastic's heading in to get the 230 missiles as well. This is a peculiar room with those gargoyles on the wall glowing mysteriously, like they're watching. Perhaps they are watching Speedrunner's Arena. These are Metroids. These are the first Metroids we've seen in the game. What we saw earlier in the game that looked, other than the baby Metroid, of course, what we saw earlier in the game in Meridia that looked like Metroids, they were not in fact Metroids at all. They were an attempt on the pirates' part of trying to create Metroids of their own, but it was an experiment gone wrong. They can't those Mocktroids could not actually inflict much damage, but these can, in fact, suck all of your life energy out of you. And the only way to get that back is with an energy if you don't have an energy refill station at home, I don't recommend keeping a pet Metroid at home. And hopefully this means that everything is going to go well for Pat 25. It'll be very hard for Kevnastic to catch up at this point in the game. Even if Pat 25 misses both Baby Skip and misses the stand-up, then I'm on the edge of my seat, getting that Baby Skip. And so it's not even worth talking about an even if, because he got that Baby Skip. So there's not a whole lot left that could allow Kevnastic to catch up. So Kevnastic is going to put on a good show for us and is going to attempt to at least get 2 Mother Brains on screen at the same time. That will be the goal. That is the goal of this particular race. This is a very fast entry time for Pat Scott 25. He's trying to get that Zeb skip, and hopefully is gonna get it. Going for that spring ball Zeb skip, having to stand here in the acid, waiting for that Rinka to respawn. The reason for going for the spring ball Zeb skip over the usual any percent skip is it's a little bit easier. You don't have to turn screw attack off. You just destroy that first column of Zebs and then Zebatites, and then use the spring ball to get past the second one. And Kevnastic is pointing out this looks like it is going to be a PB for Pat Scott 25. I was noticing the same thing. This should be a very, very huge PB for Fat Scott 25 if everything goes well. So fingers crossed. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. And Fat Scott 25, and Kevnastic's getting caught by the baby, just wanting to demonstrate for us, for the viewers, what it looks like when the baby Metroid sucks your energy all the way down to energy 0-1. So thank you, Kevnastic, for that demonstration. We've seen Kevnastic get the baby skip multiple times, but he really just wanted to show off this crystal flash here for us, just for your viewing pleasure. Normally, if you don't do the crystal flash there, then it's necessary to go refill your energy. So that is another option other than using the energy refill station, is doing the crystal flash. Meanwhile, speaking of sucking life energy, the baby Metroid is protecting her mother, protecting Samus, and sucking the life energy out of Mother Brain, and is going to be giving that energy back to Samus. As I said, this is a tragic story. I wish this story had a happy ending for everyone involved, but this is a tragedy that rivals the best that Shakespeare ever produced. So unfortunately, the baby Metroid is not going to survive. The reason Samus came here in the first place was to rescue the baby Metroid, to rescue this creature that she raised from a little hatchling, and it ends up that things did not work out as planned, as often happens in real life. Things do not always work out the way that we plan. But as a parting gift, Samus gets this lovely hyper beam, which didn't get to show it off very much on Mother Brain, just got 1, maybe 2 shots off as a side effect of the stand-up glitch and getting all of those plasma shots in early. But we will see how this beam is able to do basically everything that bombs can do, everything that power bombs could do, everything that super missiles can do, everything that the beams can do. It's all rolled into one powerful weapon that's like a miniature Mother Brain rainbow beam coming out of Samus's suit, coming out of her arm cannon. I'm not sure which part generates that sort of energy, but it is a very, very powerful weapon. Those pirates probably should be running for their lives, but they don't realize that's what's coming. Perhaps they can't see the timer. Perhaps they can't hear the ominous music. But they are, in fact, toast. And Fat Scott 25 making his way through Parlor. See if Fat Scott 25 saves the animals. Not going to save the animals today. Heading for the ship, going to escape on the ship. The animals will be fine, and Fat Scott 25 has finished in first place with a time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 19 seconds. GG, Fat Scott 25, and congratulations on the PB. That is 1.5 minutes exactly. That is huge. Almost, but not quite taking Fat Scott 25 PB down to Evnasik's territory. So next time these two runners face off against each other, Fat Scott 25 will still have a little bit of a head start, but not as big of a head start as today. It will be a little bit more difficult next time. And here we see the smiling ship for the last time. We don't get to see the animals off, but I believe, in fact, they will be fine. We just don't see the little dot. I mean, animals that can wall jump and shine spark, you're telling me they can't get out of a little locked room? I don't believe it for a second. You have Nasik's making his way through these green pirates as well, and climbing up through the last of the Turian rooms here, coming into the Criteria climb room, not climbing but sparking, and in fact sparking so fast she sparks through one of those platforms at the bottom. And will Kevnasik save the animals? Quote unquote save. Of course, I don't believe they need saving. No. Skipping the animals and heading straight for the ship, and Kevnastics has finished in second place with a time of 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 18 seconds. GG Kevnastics, GG Fat Scott 25. I believe the runners will want to come in for an interview. I often have a hard time hearing when I do interviews at first. I don't have things set right, but hopefully I'll be able to hear. I see Kevnastics in the room. Kevnastics, are you there?
Yeah, just give me 1 second. I'm going to turn down my my audio on my computer so it's not in the Wait, okay. Hey, what's happening, Cal? Thanks for doing the commentary as usual. Absolutely awesome job. Really, just I love your style. Cracks me up. You got some good jokes, and it was a good listen.
Thank you, Capnasics. I like to do something a little different from what everyone else does. There are a lot of great commentators out there.
Right? No, you do a solid job. So it's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much. That means a lot, especially coming from you.
Dang it.
Chat says 90-second PB cracking.
For Scott.
For Scott, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Scott
that's a huge
absolutely.
PB.
Scott absolutely crushed it. I'm super proud of Scott. He's been running and doing a really, really good job lately. So it's been nice to see Scott push his times down, and definitely going to make me a little bit nervous because Scott could totally bop my hundo time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a solid run, and I think there's plenty of opportunity for improvement as well, though it won't be easy.
Yeah, I got really tilted when my internet went out.
Yeah. Yeah, did you have to stop and take care of anything, or did you just keep right on playing?
No, I had to stop because I can't
Right.
like when I was in bowling, I had to yeah, basically when I was in bowling, I had to try it out. I was like, all right, this is a good time to do it. But when I
Right.
switched from my game to my internet, it pauses the game. So I tried to do it as fast as I could. Took me a couple attempts, and I feel like I bounced back pretty good. But as soon as I got to Dragon, just everything went to hell, and I just couldn't
Right.
play at all. Like I lost so when I got to, I was about 50 seconds ahead of my averages, which would have put me, like, I have a lot of time saves elsewhere. It would have put me on a solid 124 pace. But then I missed the quick grab. First off, I had like
Right.
just bad swoops, and then I missed the quick grapple, so I was a little frustrated. But it's okay. My goal right now is 125s, and I was only 32 seconds off my PB. So as bad as it felt like I played, I still wound up, okay.
Yeah, on that quick grab, if I remember correctly, you prefer the right side, whereas most runners, I think, prefer the left. And that particular grab, you were going to have to grapple on the left.
It depends actually. So if I'm doing suitless, I prefer left to right.
Mhm.
And if I'm not doing suitless, I do like it on the left side, but it's not so much just because it's easier to do not suitless. It's pretty much more that it just means you have better patterns
Right.
from
Okay, that
Dragon.
makes sense. Do we
Yeah,
have Pat Scott 25
I
in
hope so.
the room now as well? Pat Scott 25, are you there?
Yeah, I'm
GG,
here.
Scott.
Sorry. GG.
GG. That was an amazing run.
What's that, like a minute PB for you or close to it?
A minute 33 PB actually at 126.16.
Heck yeah, dude. GG. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
The best part about this run is I lost 30 seconds on my gravity split, and I lost 30 seconds in Meridia. So and then I made it all back in the late game. Basically, I saved 20 seconds in Lower North Fair. I saved 6 seconds going to G4, and I got baby skip, so I immediately saved another 20 seconds. So everything.
Yeah, I
went
actually watched the whole run. I think had I not blown Dragon, I would have been able to catch up to you. But like my whole last half was absolute garbage.
What did you finish with?
125.42.
Okay.
So I know it's still a little bit faster than your run, but I absolutely could have caught you in this run. And what happened is my internet went out in wreck ship. So when I was at bowling, I had to put my internet on, and I lost like maybe 10 to 20 seconds there because my game was paused while I was trying to figure out my internet. So it wasn't that bad. And then I didn't notice my energy going into gauntlets, so I didn't make this all the way through. I forgot to pop my reserves. So I had to use a power bomb there, but everything was okay. I thought my green and pink Brinstar cleanup was okay. But when I got into Meridian, it started off really, really well. But Dragon was just a disaster. I got bad swoop patterns, and then I missed the quick grapple. I just mistimed it, and then I missed the space jump in Coliseum, and it just kind of like, I don't know, losing my internet tilted me a little bit, and then Dragon put me over the edge, and I just couldn't seem to put more than like 2 rooms together from then out. But I mean, I'm pretty proud that like a trash run for me, and I can still put it in the 125 range, so that makes me feel pretty good about my upcoming grind. And I'm definitely super psyched that your PV train is still rolling, man. Super proud of you. You're awesome, dude.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised it did as well as it did because I was really feeling the rust. Like there was a lot of places where I completely forgot what to do. I almost forgot a few items like alpha power bombs, the missile. I almost forgot that. There's a few times I sort of just jumped over stuff, or in wreck ship I almost ran past the spooky missile like an idiot.
Oh man,
Stuff like that, where it definitely shows that I haven't played this category in 4 months, but I was still able to do better because I was just, I have more experience with the game now.
yeah, you do really well. I am afraid. So, but it's always fun doing these. And Cal, thanks for doing the commentary, and WJG setting this up. And make sure y'all follow Fat Scott. Fat Scott is definitely a runner to be watching right now in this community. So follow Fat Scott and wish him some good luck in his chat.
I appreciate that.
Heck yeah, man.
Absolutely was an honor to be able to do commentary for both of you. It's so much fun every time we have one of these SMSs.
I know. Now let's get your friends out, everybody. Come on out and play.
Yeah, even if you're new to the game, come on and join us. This is a race that is very friendly to veterans and newcomers alike.
Agreed. So, but with that, hey, thanks everybody, and thanks for watching, viewers. And I'm gonna get running. Scott, take care. I'll see you in Cal, and hopefully I'll see y'all in my chat.
See ya.
Thank you, Gymnastics. Any last words from you, Scott?
Yeah, thank you for commentating today, and thank you guys for hosting this race. This is a lot of fun, and considering I was about to get back into Hundo anyway, it's kind of convenient that the first SMS of this month was Hundo.
Fortuitous, because I'm on a Hundo grind too, so it was a category I was ready for, so that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it was definitely a good coincidence there.
And we do see that final item collection count on both of your screens at 100%, so that does validate the run. So officially GG now.
GG.
Well, thank you all very much.
See you next mission, y'all.
We will see you next mission. And we're seeing a recommendation to raid Insane Firebat, and I second that motion. So with that, adios, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, see you next mission.